The Miami Dolphins are becoming must-watch football because in the most literal way possible, they are the funniest show on television. Seriously, when I think about the funniest shows in television history, I'm thinking about The Office, my personal favorite, Modern Family, but the Miami Dolphins are right up there with those shows. They are a hilarious watch week in and week out. They're must-watch TV. Truthfully, if you're missing out on these games, I feel bad for you. It reminds me of back in 2023. They were must-watch TV back then too. Of course, for a much different reason. That was a very exciting, high-powered offense until it all fell apart. But man, what I would do to go back to those times, man. Now, I certainly did not take it for granted because I knew that was not going to last forever. But I'll never forget how I feel seeing the Dolphins celebrate their 7th touchdown of the day, scoring 70 points against the Denver Broncos. I'll never forget how I felt when Trent Sherfield caught that 60-yard touchdown pass on the very first play of the game versus the 49ers. And then everything pretty much went downhill from there. And now here we are, just a couple of years later, and the product is absolutely laughable. And it would be easy for me to say we all saw this coming, and to a certain extent, I definitely did, but there was still a level of blind optimism from me coming into this year. Even coming into this game, I saw on FanDuel, the sponsor of today's video, they had the Miami Dolphins as a 2.5-point underdog to beat the Browns. I'm not gonna lie, I threw a little bit of money on it. Why? Because I'm a fool. I'm a fool and I'm a damn fool. That's what I am for throwing my money on the Miami Dolphins. They lost 31-6 today. I just figured, I don't know, the Dolphins are bad. They've been playing awful, but the Browns are still the Browns. You would think the Browns are still gonna brown, and at some points today they did, but the Miami Dolphins are just so much worse. And every single game, they just get obliterated by opponents who are not good either. The only team the Dolphins beat is the New York Jets, who also benched their quarterback today. Justin Fields got benched for Tyrod Taylor, just like Tua got benched for Quentin Ewers midway through the fourth quarter. So, yeah, a lot of funny stuff today. I actually took quite a bit of notes for this one because just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, it got worse. Like, I'd want to say you can't make this stuff up, but, like, it happens every week, you know? So it's like, it's not super surprising at this point anymore. But you start the game with the Cleveland Browns winning the toss, and they actually offered to receive the ball. Usually when a team wins the toss, they always want to punt so they can get the ball in the second half. But I guess the Browns knew what they were doing because, let's just say on the Dolphins' opening drive of the third quarter, it didn't work out so well for us. But we'll get into that. The Browns would take the ball and the Dolphins would force a 3-and punt. So I'm thinking, okay, the Browns wanted the ball. You made them punt. That's a great series by the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins would also end up punting. The Browns would go down the field and they would end up kicking a field goal, in a large part to just a number of defensive penalties from the Miami Dolphins, which was happening all day today. On this one, there was a defensive holding on 3rd and 15. You just gift wrapping the first down to the Cleveland Browns. Then you had a Zach Sealer unnecessary roughness to give them another 15 yards when they were struggling moving the ball too. Judkins had a decent game today, but Dylan Gabriel, he doesn't look like anything special. But the Dolphins just did everything in their power to make it super easy for them and just give them free yards. And Zach Sealer, finally, you heard his name a couple of times today, but it's because he was giving up penalties. You finally hear his name, and it's for bad reasons. Fat cat Zach Sealer. I hate to say it. I hate to see, because Zach Sealer is my guy, but he got the bag and he stinks like everybody else on this team. The Miami Dolphins were matched with a field goal, even though it was a disappointing series because you had a 50-yard run from Achane and you had to settle for a field goal. But that would make the score 3-3 at the end of the first quarter. Going into the second quarter, Rasul Douglas misses what was just an easy interception. It went like right through his hands. He's having an okay season as well. Didn't work out that time. Jared Jeudy would end up getting that pass and taking it for a first down. A couple of plays later, the Dolphins would get an interception. This time would be Ashton Davis, but it would get waved off a late flag from a Minkah Fitzpatrick penalty. There were some iffy calls this game. I know the announcer was saying that it shouldn't have been a flag on Minkah. I saw Minkah kind of grab the other receiver's arm, so I think it could have went either way. But again, you have a great play. You got the pick from Ashton Davis, but it's wiped away. because of a defensive penalty. And then the very next play, this is when things started to really get funny. This is when the writers were in their bag. The script writers, they were making a good comedy, an all-time cult classic with this one, because the very next play, Judkins ran for like a 40-yard touchdown run, and it was Minkah Fitzpatrick who just committed the penalty the play before. This time he missed the tackle, and he ended up getting hurt on that play as well. He didn't leave the game or nothing, but he got banged up, was on the ground for a while. So just when things got worse, they just kept stacking up. They were snowballing into just an epitome of trash is what this game ended up snowballing into. That run would put the Dolphins down 10-3. And then on the ensuing kickoff, D. Eskridge would fumble, recovered by the Browns. So the shit storm keeps on rolling. There would be more defensive penalties, including an unnecessary roughness from Jalen Phillips. Just pushes Dylan Gabriel when he had already released the ball. The Dolphins would end up wasting a timeout, a defensive timeout on 3rd and 8. They'd give up the first down anyways, and then Judkins would run in another touchdown after bobbling the snap. So they were like, I don't know, 2nd and goal from the 4. They do a wildcat. They rec snap to Judkins. He's bobbling the ball. Dolphins D-line has plenty of time to break through, and they still don't. Judkins walks right in for the touchdown even after bobbling the ball. It's ridiculous stuff from the defensive line, truthfully. Comical, one might say. That would put the Browns up 17-3. The Dolphins would get the ball back and immediately start on the first play because they're a very undisciplined team. They would end up being on 3rd and 13, get bailed out by a DPI. One of the couple of very bad plays from the Browns because they're still a bad football team. So the Dolphins would luck into a first down there. But then they would just lose 2 yards on the next set and end up punting anyways. Tua actually had some time to throw on that one. Threw it to nobody on 3rd down because he stinks. And then the Dolphins would end up punting. The Dolphins would end up getting pressure on 3rd and 12 as Dylan Gabriel was backing up to the end zone. I thought they had a safety. It looked like the Dolphins defense actually made a nice play to get to the quarterback. Looked like they were getting held. There was a flag thrown, but they were saying it was for like illegal hands to face out of the end zone. So the Dolphins did end up getting the safety. They did not end up getting the safety, but they would force the punt, get the ball back, and on the first play, immediately false start again. So 2 series in a row, they false start on the very first play. And Tua still got hit, mind you. The Dolphins had an early start to start blocking, and somehow the pressure still got to Tua. He still got hit. And then on they would call the false start on 1st and 15. Then Tua would actually get sacked. So it didn't count on the first one because of the false start, although he still took a hit. And then on the second attempt, he did actually get sacked. So things continued to get absolutely worse there. It would be like 2nd and 20. But then Devon Achane, beast, will bust out a 21-yard run. Very conservative call. It's like, why are you doing a run up the middle on 2nd and 21, Mike McDaniel? Just soft play calling. You're already down two touchdowns. But because Devon Achane is so awesome, he would end up getting the 21-yard run to get the first down. But Tua was really getting pressured all drive. The offensive line was falling apart. Savai Naya had a nice block early on when Achane had the 50-yard run. But the rest of the game, he was just back to being pretty terrible, along with the rest of the O-line. The Dolphins would be forced to kick a field goal. Riley Patterson would miss the field goal. But then the Browns would brown again. They'd kick our long snapper. So it was a penalty on the field goal. So the Dolphins would luck out again. It would extend their drive. After that play, the Dolphins just get bailed out, right? By this time, the dumb defensive penalty on the Browns, the Dolphins would luck out. And then the Dolphins would fumble their snap. So here we go. The comedic snowball rolls on. The Dolphins would land on the ball, though, although they would lose 9 yards. So they would still have to settle for a field goal and make it 17-6 at the half. Things got even worse. Darren Waller, who had no targets in the first half, he was ruled out with a pectoral injury. So it's like, that was fun while it lasted. You get a guy who's already older. He's retired. You bring him into your team, and he's already hurt. He ends up playing a couple of games, plays well. Now he's hurt again. What did you expect? Go getting the guy out of retirement, the old head out of retirement. Oh, I'm just so sick of the team building here. You have Tyreek Hill, he gets hurt. Dolphins need to go out and sign a wide receiver. So who do they sign? Cedric Wilson, who's been inactive for 3 games because he's, wait for it, hurt. The Dolphins had their pick of the litter of any free agent wide receiver out there to replace the injured Tyreek Hill, and they replaced the injured Tyreek Hill with a guy who is, wait for it, injured. Oh, who would have thought? Cedric Wilson still three weeks in, can't even be active. Could have used him today. Maybe could have used him. No, that's what the Dolphins decided to get. They interview Mike McDaniel at halftime. What do you got to do different, Mike McDaniel? We still we gotta stop getting in our own way. Yeah, you've been saying that for 4 years now, Mike McDaniel. Okay. By the way, when he was getting interviewed, he's wearing sunglasses, and the whole game it was raining the whole time. It's all gloomy out. Why the hell are you wearing sunglasses in the rain, Mike McDaniel? Maybe if you took those damn things off, you could actually see what the hell was going on. Brendan Tobin had an excellent tweet. He said that all game, Mike McDaniel was looking at the play sheet like he was deciding on what entree he wants at the Cheesecake Factory. That's exactly what Mike McDaniel looked like. He's holding his play sheet. Should I get the chicken parm or should I get the fettuccine Alfredo? That's what he's looking like all game. Wearing stupid sunglasses in the rain. What an idiot that guy is. Oh, man. Anyways, we'd go into the third quarter. On the very first play of the third quarter, probably the climax of the comedy is Tua threw a pick six. First play. It was a very high pass to the outside to Devon Achane because all the Dolphins' passes were to the outside today, pretty much. It did hit both the Achane's hands. Maybe he could have got it, but Achane jumped as high as he possibly could to just even get two hands on it. Very bad pass by Tua. It'd get tipped up. Browns would get the pick six. That would make it 24-6. And then on the very next drive, the Dolphins, need a score. They need to get some points on the board, and they would net negative 10 yards on the next drive after Tua was sacked. So it's like biggest spot of the game. Maybe get something. Your max money quarterback, maybe do something. No, you get negative 10 yards. There was a bunch of penalties on the punt, even including unnecessary roughness. So not only do you lose 10 yards on the drive, you punt the ball, you commit unnecessary roughness, you give the Browns even more field position, an even better field position there as things would continue to get worse, although the Browns would punt. And then when the Dolphins got the ball back, they ran up the middle on an Ollie Gordon with Ollie Gordon on 3rd and 1. I thought he got it, but the rest gave him a bad spot, so they said it was 4th and 1. And then it's like Mike McDaniel's there again, looking at the play sheet. Oh, what do I do? Do I go for 4th and 1? What do I do? Waste the timeout. It's like, why are you wasting a timeout? It's so obvious. Do another Ollie Gordon run up the middle. Why do you have to waste the timeout for that? They'd come back from timeouts. They would end up doing the Ollie Gordon run up the middle, and he would get it. They'd convert the 4th and 1. But why are you wasting the timeout? I have zero experience as a football coach. I have zero experience playing organized football. And I knew the second they ruled Ollie Gordon short on 3rd and 1 that you have to run it again, get to the line of scrimmage, go up the middle with Ollie Gordon, get the first down, move the sticks, and keep on going. That is obvious. That is basic football 101. But no, Mike McDaniel has to waste the timeout in a game that you're already down 3 possessions and you can use those timeouts later. What an idiot. He's an absolute idiot. Mike McDaniel is, man. Later on that drive, the Dolphins would go for another 4th down. It would be 4th and 8, and Tua throws what I can't describe other than a hospital ball to Malik Washington, short of the sticks, mind you. So not only was it a hospital ball where you knew Malik Washington was going to get rocked immediately, but it was short of the sticks. So why even throw it? Even if Malik had came down with that ball, you don't convert the 4th down. So dumb play design, dumb throw by Tua. We would go into the 4th quarter. The Browns would punt. And when the Dolphins got the ball back, this time they would false start on the 2nd play. So basically 3 drives in a row, they false start almost immediately. And then the Dolphins would be pretty backed up. Tua was getting pressured in the end zone. He would force a throw. Picked off again, nearly a pick six. The Browns would go down at the 2-yard line, but Judkins would punch it in to make it 31-6. And then they bring Tua back out there. Tua would get picked again 3 plays later for his 3rd interception of the game. Back-to-back games with 3 picks, mind you. And also the Dolphins were holding on that play as well. So, he threw a pick. I saw the flag. I'm thinking, okay, maybe it gets waved off. Nope. The Dolphins defense had to hold, and they still got picked off, which is how bad things were for them today. And then eventually, after another Browns punt, the Dolphins would bring in Quinn Ewers, who was nearly picked off on his first play. Oh, if he was picked off, the Browns guy had it in his hands and he dropped it. If he would have got picked, oh my God, I may have died of laughter. I may have died of laughter. All we heard going into today when they benched Zach Wilson, made Ewers the number 2 was, oh yeah, Ewers looked good in practice. He looks like he's ready. No, not at all. He was awful in the 8 minutes he played. Outside of a 40-yard pass to D. Eskridge, very nice pass by Eskridge that he had a couple plays later. He's not ready at all. And then on the next Dolphins drive, the Browns would punt again. Obviously, the Browns were just wasting clock, but you get another drive from Ewers. That's when you had the 40-yard pass to Eskridge. But on that same drive, you had Sealer get banged up, Waddle get banged up. It's like, why do you, or I guess Sealer was on the defensive side, but then when you got the ball back, Waddle got banged up trying to jump for a pass. It's like, why do you even have Waddle out there if you don't have Tua? Why? You're just asking for guys to get hurt. But that would basically be it. The Dolphins will fall 31-6. And it's like all week you heard about all this talk about the trade rumors and they might trade Waddle, they might trade Achane, and a lot of Dolphins fans were mad at the noise. They don't want to lose those guys, and I like Achane. I like Waddle. I don't know if either guy's a superstar. Achane might be, but Waddle's a fine number 2. I like those guys. They seem like great people as well. But what's the point of keeping them? You should trade everyone. You're a dumpster fire. You got to rebuild, and the way you rebuild is by getting rid of some of these guys. Both those guys already have injury problems. Running backs, as it is, only last about 3 or 4 years. You're not going to be good in that time frame with Achane. You're not going to find a good quarterback and a good O-line in time for Jalen Waddle. Just trade those guys and rebuild. I hope this season doesn't turn into a 6 or 7 win season for the Dolphins. I hope they only win a couple of games and can get one of those top picks in the draft. Maybe they get Mendoza. Maybe they get the Oregon quarterback. Maybe they can get one of the top O-line in there. I want to rebuild, and the best way to do that is get as many picks as possible. So, I am kind of curious to hear what the post-game press conferences are going to be today. Of course, it was a firestorm last week. I was curious how the team would bounce back. It was either going to go one of 2 ways after Tua's comments. Either they would all rally together or they would all fall apart. They all fell apart, But I guess I don't really have to stick around and wait to hear McDaniel because we already know what it's going to be. Matter of fact, I'm going to do the Mike McDaniel for y'all, so y'all don't even have to waste your time watching him speak because I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen. They're going to say, hey, Mike, tough loss today. What do you think happened out there? Are you worried about your job security? And Mike's going to say, we just got to take it one game at a time. We just, expect the unexpected. And when you expect the unexpectedness expects you. And then when you expect the unexpected, we're not as worried about the O-line as you guys are. Yeah. Did I make any sense? No. Which is exactly why that was a perfect Mike McDaniel impression, because he never makes any sense. Anyways, the good news is the Miami Heat tip off with real basketball in just 3 days now. Wow, yeah, 3 days versus the Orlando Magic. I will be at the game. Right now on FanDuel, you can get the Miami Heat with juicy odds to beat the Magic at plus 295. Definitely going to throw a little bit of money on that because I think the Miami Heat are going to be our savior once again as they look to win their 4th straight play-in tournament championship. Anyways, that's all I got to say for this video. Let me know your thoughts down below. Should the Dolphins bench Tua going forward? I don't know. Very curious to hear what y'all think. Subscribe and like because those things are greatly appreciated. And I'll see you on the next video. Peace out, everyone.
Look, pull up in your city trying to get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. This homegrown bitch don't offend me.